Saluton, and welcome to Esperanto Explained. Today, we'll be talking about our affixes. That means our prefixes and our suffixes. Prefixes, just like in English, happen at the beginning of the word. Like, an example of a prefix in English would be anti, which means the opposite of, or pre, which means before. Suffixes in English happen at the very end of the word. In Esperanto, it's a little bit trickier because we've got those part of speech endings like the o and a that tell us if it's a noun or an adjective. So in Esperanto, you have to separate the word between here's the root and here's that part of speech ending that tells me, oh, this is a noun. And you pull that part of speech ending over here, and you stick the suffix in between. You might have noticed those if you're in the Duolingo course. Even in the very first few lessons, they've got viro, man, and virino, woman, knabo, boy, and knabino, girl. The only difference is that in, that in, that gets squished in right before the O. That is an example of a suffix. You can see more suffixes and more prefixes on Wikipedia's Esperanto vocabulary page. They have a very detailed list with the prefixes and suffixes and what they mean, and a few examples. Obviously, you still want to ask maybe some expert friends if you have any. Double check on Reddit. Double check with your Facebook Esperanto groups. Make sure that you're using it right. But if you learn the prefixes and suffixes, your vocabulary will just explode. All of a sudden, the one word good, bona, turns into malbona, bad. Bonetta, a little bit good. You can make so many different words off of this one root once you know the prefixes and suffixes. You can just build words together like Lego blocks. It's truly one of the things that makes Esperanto simpler to learn than some other languages. We've got our prefixes like mal that you see in the Duolingo Basics 2 if you're using that course. That mal turns good, bona, into bad, malbona. It doesn't mean bad, it just means the opposite of. Bad is the opposite of good. Ugly is the opposite of pretty. So bella turns into malbella. You can use these prefixes and suffixes all over Esperanto if you know a word that's almost like the word you know, to turn it into a word that you want to use. That's how prefixes and suffixes work in Esperanto. Ĝis revido!